Hey guys, Mapletail here. Today is my review of the newest book in the Warrior Cat series, Riverstar's Home. A book I have been highly anticipating, as I've been wanting a more RiverClan focused story in the Dawn of the Clans era. And we're drawing a whole bunch of cats. Let's get into it. As usual, this isn't a formal review, more just my thoughts throughout the book, and it will be spoiler heavy. I already talked about up to chapter 3 when the preview was released, so we're jumping right into chapter 4. I'll link that video if you missed it. We start with River Ripple at the edge of Two Leg Place after being attacked in the last chapter, looking to be helped. He managed to steal some food, including a sandwich. He decides that since the river isn't his real home, and that he'll leave as soon as he's better, there's no point in continuing to fish when this is easier. And he does so for the next weeks. I was happy to see Night when she finally came to check on River Ripple, but also disappointed that it took so long, a feeling that he shared. She warns him of the danger of relying on two legs and offers to help him more. I can definitely sense that something is going to go wrong and that River Ripple will soon return to hunting instead, even though he refuses her here. And something quickly does. Not exactly what I was expecting. River Ripple is trapped in a two-leg den and ends up living there for moons, becoming comfortable as a kitty pet, though he still dreams of the river. That is until the two legs bring home a puppy. River Ripple is very much not a fan and plots his escape. When he manages to run outside while the two-leg kits go out to play, he sees their sadness as he sits upon the fence, and felt great gratitude towards them for getting him through the worst of the cold weather. Honestly, that was nice to see. They pretty clearly wanted to help him, and they cared for him. And I'm glad that he appreciates that. The next chapter has River Ripple headed for his old den in the reeds. He has a lovely reunion with Night, and the two share fish together. River Ripple talks about his old mate Flutter, clearly missing her. Night's similar sadness reminded him that we learned she too had a mate and kits that she lost. When River Ripple asks if Night gets lonely too, she says that she has missed, to which River Ripple responds with the slightly infuriating, "But he's just a litter mate. Don't you ever long for a mate?" I'm all for romantic relationships, but let's not minimize how important other types of relationships are too. Not to mention this is clearly a painful subject for Night after all she's lost, and obviously does not appreciate the reminder of it. Night vows that she'll never take a mate again, as to not risk the pain of losing more cats she loves. Now I have the feeling she's gonna get one. I'm not sure who it would be. I wouldn't be surprised if it's River Ripple, as there's no way he's getting back to Flutter. River Ripple confides in Night his fears of returning to the park to find nothing good awaiting him, and she simply tells him to stay then, which he kind of surprisingly takes to heart and considers. With a vision of Flutter during a meditation, River Ripple decides for sure that he is meant to stay by the river. What really surprised me was the next scene. River Ripple hears a voice, and one says the name Turtletail. Anyone who's read Dawn of the Clans will recognize that name. He approaches, and the group introduces themselves. Greywing, Turtletail, Rainswept Flower, Gorse, and Wind. I was very pleased to be seeing all these cats again after so long. I'm always here for Greywing and River Ripple's interactions. He left them and realized what he's really been missing after another warning to be careful from Night. A sense of belonging to a community of cats. A feeling that definitely leads him to form RiverClan in the coming pages. River Ripple is feeling that he fits in nowhere. He's not like Night and Mist, rootless loners, or like the territory-hungry cats who have come from the mountains. It's kind of heartbreaking to see this story through his eyes. He has a run-in with Clear Sky and deals with his Clear Skyness. Clear Sky's overly territorial ways were hard to handle in Dawn of the Clans, and feels even worse here from the POV of a cat who's lived here before him, and is now being told that he doesn't belong there. It's infuriating how he talks to River Ripple, and about Night and Mist. The would-be clan cats have no right to come here and chase everyone who lives here out of their homes. River Ripple is right. The land should be shared. Next time he sees Night, he suggests they form their own sort of loose group. Nothing like Clear Skies or Grey Wings, but just a few cats looking out for each other. And with that small step, I see a glimmer of RiverClan's start. In the next chapter, Night teaches River Ripple finally to learn how to swim. And in return, he teaches her about meditation. It was a really nice couple moments. The two of them shared a vision about a butterfly, so I wonder if that will come into play at all. They later share prey with a cat named Whistle, who was very aggressive at first, but calmed down when they offered to eat it together instead of fighting over food. Over the next moon, many loners pass through, and River Ripple welcomes them all. Some even stay and make dens nearby, like Whistle, Silver, Hollow, and Sage. Others just visiting once in a while, like Croak and Woodlouse. All the cats living together peacefully like this is quite beautiful, and I wish it could last. Meditating in the mornings, sharing prey in the evenings, sometimes hunting together, sometimes just enjoying each other's company. I wish today's clans were at least a little bit more like this. While searching for a possible spot for a proper camp, River Ripple finds a queen, Cleo, and her two kits, Hunter and Scout. Former kitty pets who left when Cleo feared that Two Legs would take away her kits. River Ripple admires her bravery and welcomes them into the group. Aside from a bit of grumbling, it's definitely one of the kinder reactions toward kitty pets, which I appreciate. Especially after the cruelty shown towards Bumble during this same era. I was happy to hear that Cleo became a talented hunter after a few days too, and that everyone in the group loved having the kits around. Even Night warming to them. Unfortunately, Cleo's mate Casper eventually came looking for her, attacking Night thinking she was trying to drown Cleo, which is just ridiculous. Even worse, he convinces Cleo to return to Two Leg Place with the kits. They were happy by the river. Such a shame. When Night's wound becomes infected, River Ripple goes towards Grey Wing's territory for help. He runs into Dapplepelt, who agrees to come assist. It was great to see a familiar and friendly face. Thankfully, she knew what she was doing and was able to treat Night. During hunting with Mist, the forest goes up in a blaze. I remember this fire well from Dawn of the Clans. River Ripple is able to get the moor cats out of the flaming forest and across the river. Clear Sky and the forest cats appear and make it across to safety too. River Ripple admires the mountain cat's loyalty and courage and wishes he had the same in his own group, which he is feeling more and more like everyone is leaving him, loners at heart. He wants to find cats who think like him, river mates he can rely on, strong cats but without the aggression and focus on territory of the mountain cats. I really do feel for him, but I also think he has a great thing going already. I'm interested to see how things will shift. After the fire, River Ripple visits Tall Shadow and Grey Wing's camp after a run-in with some of Clear Sky's cats who are back to guarding their precious forest. He desperately tries to convince a grieving Tall Shadow, who will hopefully pass it on to Clear Sky, that he and the other loners aren't a proper group and should not be taken as a threat. Doesn't really seem to work, but he goes on to help her through the grief of losing Moonshadow, her brother, in the fire, with the suggestion of meditation. Seems to be his answer for a lot of things. River Ripple has an even more intense run-in with Clear Sky and his cats, and I was shocked it didn't end in bloodshed. It definitely feels like that's where we're headed. I'm keeping my fingers crossed that all of River Ripple's cats will be okay. I've grown attached, and I can't remember how much we learn about these cats in Dawn of the Clans, and if they end up dying to the claws of another. River Ripple moves his camp to a more defendable spot, but only Night really follows him. The others coming and going as they please. It's River Ripple's dream that I was really interested in, though. He stumbles through the forest, cats like mist surrounding him, stars seeming to be trapped in their pelts. I don't know about y'all, but that sounds like our first look at StarClan to me. He awakes, and the cats are still there, trying to lead him somewhere. It's much too early for the moonstone, so I'm not really sure where. The first battle at 4 Trees. I wondered when we'd see this infamous fight. We see the vicious battle over territory from River Ripple's POV, cats falling left and right, and him being able to do nothing to stop the slaughter. The ghosts tell him that he's their only way to reach them, that he'll be their stepping stones over the river. It's really interesting seeing this scene that we missed out on in Dawn of the Clans. I hadn't known what River Ripple had actually done here. After the fighting, he joins the others at 4 Trees, and the dead rise again as starry cats. They give the surviving cats the message: unite or die. I'm pretty sure this is only around book 3 of Dawn of the Clans, so we'll see how long that takes. The gathered cats split off, following their leaders, new and old: Tall Shadow, Clear Sky, Thunder, and River Ripple. Though no one actually chooses River Ripple yet. Night is the first. She thankfully agrees to stay with River Ripple and start a more permanent group together. I'm so excited to see RiverClan start to take more of a solid shape. I love these two, and I'm glad they're working together and on the same page now. Several of the other loners seem to be sticking around too in the coming moon. One Eye. River Ripple has a run-in with one of the major antagonists of Dawn of the Clans, and while they part ways relatively peacefully here, I know big trouble is on its way. In brighter news, a former rogue, former cat of Clear Skies called Dew asks River Ripple and Night if they still have the offer to have cats join open. While they are pretty wary of her at first, they warm up quickly and get their first new member. I like Dew a lot already. Too soft-hearted for Clear Sky is always a good thing in my book, and she sounds loyal and determined to do her part. This is the bit of what I miss of Dawn of the Clans. The ease of cats switching groups to find somewhere they belong. They are only just now starting to come back to this in a Starless clan, but it is nowhere near this easy or seamless, and I have my doubts it ever will be again. River Ripple has a nice moment at 4 Trees with a morning greywing. I love getting scenes of these two. I think their friendship is very sweet. And it sounds like all the cats plan to start gathering here for meetings. Our first gathering must be coming out soon. Tall Shadow visits the river camp and is surprised that it's not just River Ripple and Night. He can see new respect in her eyes as she looks at him as a leader. He finds it pretty funny, and honestly same. It's so refreshing to have a cat like River Ripple as our protagonist. He really feels so different from so many we've read from before, just in the way he thinks and acts. It makes for an interesting new look at this arc. Tall Shadow warns that One Eye is training Clear Sky's cats to fight, and suggests that River Ripple does the same, having to choose between peace or survival. Like River Ripple thinks, it really does feel like his dreams of a quiet life for this group are starting to fade into grim reality. I just hope he can maintain a balance, protecting themselves without being hostile like the others. River Ripple finds Greywing back at 4 Trees, drowning in his grief, and probably also suffering from the effects of the fire. and we see the offer I've been waiting for all book. River Ripple asks Greywing to come back to the river camp with him. And he does. I'm so excited to see more from these two, and for Greywing to have a chance to heal from all he's gone through. We get a couple of hunting trips with a struggling Greywing. I'm sorry to hear him suffering so much from all that smoke inhalation moons ago. But it is lovely to see him and River Ripple spending time together. We learn a lot has happened to the past moon that was skipped over between chapters. One Eye being thrown out of Clear Sky's group, Starflower's appearance at the gathering, a new sickness spreading, all vaguely familiar from my reading of Dawn of the Clans. I'm a little surprised to see it skipped over, but I guess it's less relevant to River Ripple's story. Greywing leaves far too quickly for my liking, not even getting a whole chapter on the island. Returning home to Turtletail's kits, her and Tom both said to be dead already. We skip yet another week as the sickness spreads, and Clear Sky has now been overthrown by One Eye. Damn, this chapter is moving very quickly in a lot of directions. It's a little overwhelming. I can only imagine how difficult this would be to read without the context of Dawn of the Clans. I definitely wouldn't recommend this as a standalone, like many of the older Super Editions felt more like. I'm glad it's not essential reading like some of the new ones, where you miss important chunks of plot from the main series if you skip them. That's not the case here, yet at least. I'm still wondering if it connects to Frostpaw's journey at all in A Starless Clan. Anyways, Thunder and Lightning-Tail, my boy, they visit and ask River Ripple to join in everyone getting rid of One Eye, who's stolen the cure for the sickness that's been plaguing the other groups. He reluctantly agrees, a vision from the river showing him that the only way to peace is through fighting for it, and killing the cat standing in their way. We jump right into the battle. Half happens off page and is recapped to us. The other gives us some good action scenes though. River Ripple enjoys it a little too much. I'm happy to see him growing into the leader that he will be, but I don't want to see him lose what makes him him. His accepting nature, his kindness and empathy, his love of peace, and willingness to be guided by the gentle river. He and the other leaders dream of the spirit cats, them reminding the living of the blazing star prophecy they gave. Not in this book, this is the first mention of it here. I feel like the first bit of this book really took its time with most things, and now we're really rushing through a whole 6 books of story. Little intense, especially considering it's been a minute since I've read this arc. Part of it is probably because RiverClan had such a small part of it and they missed a lot, which is now how I'm feeling. Shattered Ice and Dappled Pelt visit next, asking to join the group, explaining that their own group has split. Moor Runner heading towards the moor, Tall Shadow to the pines, Thunder and Clear Sky returning to the forest. It's great to see Dappled Pelt back after she helped heal Night earlier in the book. Shattered Sky and River Ripple have a nice moment, talking about their past homes in the mountain and in the park. They are interrupted by a cry of distress. They find a cat who River Ripple thinks is sick, but is pretty clearly in labor by the description. Her name is Kite, not one I remember from the main series, and she and her kits join the group. Yay. There's some more drama with Starflower and some rogues. We get to hear River Ripple's thoughts on Clear Sky dating the cat, who was almost his son's mate. I'm glad he thinks that's as weird and terrible as I do. And we learn that Thunder is now leading his own forest group. All ends well though, and we have more kits born with Starflower. I'm sure that all of this is hard on River Ripple, who still longs for Flutter and a family with her. We also learn Kite's kits' names: Snowtail, Troutfur, and Willowstream. Very RiverClan, I love it. They seem to be setting up River Ripple finding new love and having kits. He's way too depressed about it, and there's way too much book left for nothing to come of it. But I am glad it kind of seems like Night's story isn't going in that same direction. A bit of a change. I'm surprised and happy about it. A few of the rogues join the River Cats, which we love to see. And later in the chapter, new, more warrior-like names start being used for several cats, like Kitewing, with, zero explanation. That was a little weird and out of nowhere. I would have liked to see some kind of ceremony or, like, anything about that. Okay, they have an explanation a few paragraphs down. Good stuff. When Snowtail asks Drizzle why she didn't change her name at the gathering, and River Ripple responds with, she likes being Drizzle. Cute as heck. As was River Ripple taking all the kits out for a little adventure. Thunder and Clear Sky interrupt with devastating news. River Ripple knew there was only one cat who could make them both so sad to lose. I love how he describes searching for the familiar tug he feels towards Greywing when the Tom is suffering. He feels nothing. Greywing has passed. I was very sad to hear it, and even more surprised. If memory serves, Greywing dies in the final moments of Book 6 of Dawn of the Clans. And yet, we've still got more story here. I wish we got to see more of this clearly deep connection that River Ripple shared with Greywing. Something worth focusing on in this story, in my opinion. I am excited to get away from some of the recap vibes of the last several chapters, though, and back into fresh content. The cats inform River Ripple that Greywing named the groups, now clans, on his deathbed. He's here for it, and so am I. We finally have my beloved River Clan, and a few hundred pages of who knows what left. Minor whiplash as we jump to Moth Flight. Quickly miscalled Moth Wing, of course. Finding the Moonstone. It had crossed my mind that her Super Edition was next chronologically, but I did not think it would happen right away here. Her massive book is summarized in a few sentences as River Ripple and Dapplepelt sit outside of Highstones. We learn of Windrunner's death, and now new lives as Windstar, and that the clans have medicine cats now. We get to see River Ripple's 9 life ceremony, and I was pleased to see Greywing was the first to give him a life. Wow, River Ripple has really lost no one, huh? Greywing's mother has to give him a life. Storm gives him a life relating to his future kits. There it is. I knew it was bound to happen. The final life he receives is a stab to the heart. It's from Flutter. She tells him that she tried to escape the 2 legs, only to be hit by a monster. It's a bittersweet time for them, and I really feel for River Ripple. But maybe this is what he needs to move on and become Riverstar, with Night as his deputy. Yes! A couple of these scenes have felt like endings now, so I'm curious about what is next. Aside from kits, of course. River Ripple leads a hunting patrol, with none other than the polydactyl Spiderpaw. I've always loved this little guy, and his sister Blue Whisker, so I'm very glad to get to see him here. We get another surprise next. Lightning Tail and Cloud Spots deliver to Riverstar an injured cat, the scent distantly familiar to him. It's Ark. I don't think I've mentioned this cat all video, but he was basically like a father to Riverstar and taught him all about meditation in the park and such. Anyways, I honestly thought we were done with the park cats, especially after we learned that Flutter had died. We also get the first use of the clan cats calling themselves warriors. We learn that Ark heard of Riverstar from Slash, one of the rogues, and was later attacked by Skystar. Bad luck, buddy. Oh, even worse, Slash has taken over the park cat's new home, and they need Riverstar's help to drive him off. Riverstar is torn between his old life and his new one. It's a tough decision, but I'm sure he'll end up going to help. With a vision of StarClan and a dream, he decides to do just that. Also realizing that it wasn't the river he'd been listening to all this time, but the flow of his own heart. The clan is understandably worried and upset at Riverstar leaving, even if it's temporary. And Night admits that Riverstar is her best friend and that she doesn't want to be without him. Aww. He tells her that he wants her to be the next leader of RiverClan if anything happens to him. She's shocked, but the obvious choice to me and Riverstar. I'm a little surprised he didn't take any of his cats with him. Will he be enough help on his own? Never mind, it seems someone followed the two of them as we hear a call of panic. Riverstar recognizes the voice as Drizzle. I am so glad it's her. I adore this little guy. But she's currently drowning in the river. So Riverstar swims to the rescue. He thankfully manages to get Drizzle to shore, but not himself. He hits some sharp rocks jutting from the river, and everything goes black. He's greeted by a Greywing as he loses his first life. Riverstar eventually agrees to let Drizzle travel with them upon waking up, and they continue on with less struggle. Riverstar growing to appreciate Drizzle accompanying them, and Drizzle learning a lot from Ark about meditation. I'm half worried she'll choose to stay with the park cats. They have a big encounter with two legs in maybe a mall. I wasn't super invested in it, as I'm not with most two-leg scenes, so I got through it pretty quick. With a dangerous trip up some cliffs, they find the river again, and the park cats home. Said park cats are not doing well, looking ragged and being forced to hunt for Slash and his growing group of rogues. I'm interested to hear what sort of plan our three cats can come up with to deal with the situation. Oh my god, I wrote a bunch of notes for this video. I'm trying not to lose my voice over here. Okay. Riverstar is able to speak with some of his former park mates when they sneak out, and a new cat he doesn't recognize, a feisty black cat called Finch. I like her so far, and she is my current guess for a mate for Riverstar. Little bit of enemies to lovers vibe, as she does not seem to trust him here. She is also ready and willing to learn to fight, which would fit her being a future warrior. Even more important, as the park cats learn to fight over the next days, Finch is said to have lost some of her sharpness and grown confident with and warm towards Riverstar and Drizzle, while also being a fierce fighter. Sounds like she'll fit right in if she chooses to join RiverClan. The battle arrives quickly. The park cats have a strong start, but are quickly being beaten back by the rogues. Riverstar falling as he saved Owl, Finch's father. He's picking up a bit of a nasty habit of dying to save others, as his second life leaves him. Maybe we'll actually see Night start this book, which would be as wonderful as it is absolutely devastating. Riverstar manages to scare the rogues away as he rises from the dead, putting the fear into him about what other possible powers he could have, using him being different to his advantage. They win the day as Finch accidentally pushes Slash off a cliff while saving her father from him. Good riddance. With rain making the river too dangerous to travel, Riverstar and Drizzle are stuck at the park cat's forest. Drizzle is clearly missing her home, which I'm relieved to see. Seems like she'll be going back with Riverstar when they can. He goes to hunt with Finch, and we learn a little bit more about her. She's gained her self-assurance from life experiences. She has had a mate who has now passed, and even had kits, them now living as kitty pets. Riverstar remarks on how different she is from Flutter, but how pretty she is, and wonders if she'll make a good RiverClan cat. Which pretty much confirms my suspicion that these two end up together. They have a successful hunt together as RiverClan teaches her to fish, though her distaste for water and fishing concerns me a little. The next chapter, Riverstar and Drizzle are still at the mercy of the weather. and Riverstar tells her that he and Finch are mates. Would have liked to have seen that conversation, but okay. But anyways, he says that that won't stop him from leaving. I'm happy for them, but I'm worried this will end badly if Finch doesn't want to move. After a run-in with Two Legs, Riverstar asks Finch to return to RiverClan with him, and she asks him to stay with the park cats. It sounds like they're doomed to be separated due to wanting different things. I also just want to mention a little bit in the scene previous to this that bothered me, where Riverstar remembers that Finch has had a whole life before him. Yes, obviously she's had a whole life before him. She's not just here for you, buddy. More time passes, and the river is finally just about safe. But we hear that Finch is too tired to go on morning patrol and has been skipping them for the past week. Y'all are not sneaky errands. She's pregnant, right? Calling it now. A little irresponsible considering the couple's plan to split, but what are you gonna do? Maybe this will change things. After Drizzle tries to leave on her own and nearly drowns, Riverstar realizes it's time to go home with her. He goes to tell Finch, who has her own news for him, which I'm sure you can guess what that is. She's expecting his kids. They've both decided where they need to be and understand why the other won't join them. Riverstar asks Finch to name a kit after him and promises to visit, though they both know the latter is unlikely to happen. I'm really quite sad for these two. This is everything Riverstar has been dreaming of, and now he has to leave before ever meeting his unborn children. I wonder if Frostpaw will meet their descendants, if this is where she travels in coming books. I hope so. The chapter ends where the book starts. Riverstar on a log on the river, being taken away from the cat he loves. At least this time it was by choice. I was legitimately shocked when Finch jumped into the river. After all that, changing her mind at the very last second and deciding to go with them. While I am happy for this couple, I will always be a little bothered by the she-cat giving up her whole life for her boyfriend. It's just a trope that the Aarons use a little too often for my liking, and it rarely happens the other way around. At the very least, in this case, Finch actually seems to like Riverstar, and the two have a somewhat developed relationship. I'm looking at y'all, Nightheart and Sunbeam. Even if we didn't get to see most of it, it's mostly implied. Yeah, mixed feelings about this one. Overall happy, I think. The group has yet another near-death experience at the river, but everyone makes it to shore. They make it back to the clans in a few days, but more trouble is on the way as Finch falls in pain. Luckily, Dappled Pelt is there to the rescue as Drizzle grabs her. I'm glad to see a familiar RiverClan face. But more bad news. White Cough is spreading, and Skystar is causing more trouble. Enough so that all of Drizzle's kin has moved to Two Leg Place. She was so anxious to get back to her family, and now they're not even here. Though Riverstar promises to fix the trouble and get them back. Meanwhile, Finch is doing better and settles in nicely to RiverClan. I'm very glad to see it. With the help of Cleo, Riverstar is able to find Drizzle's kin and convince them to return home to help deal with Skystar. He even promotes Drizzle and her sibling Pine Needle into warriors, and Kitewing's kits officially into apprentices, as well as Spiderpaw, who is apprenticed to new warrior Drizzle. I am so happy for them. Riverstar also vows to never leave his clan behind again. Kits time! Riverstar returns from a tense gathering to find Finch in labor. It's a scary time, a kit being the wrong way around, one born not breathing, but all ends okay with everyone working together, and Finch has 3 healthy kits. A silver she-kit, a black tom, and a grey one. They name them Rippleshine, Dusk Smoke, and Arc Shadow. So perfect and cute. And Finch asks for a warrior name. I can't wait to see what's chosen for her. The clan is elated to meet them, everyone wanting to go first. Night ends up being the first cat to meet the new kittens, which just feels right. I'm glad to see that Night approves of Finch too. Night might as well be family to Riverstar, so it's great to see everyone getting along well, and Night feeling as though Finch will make a great warrior. The final confrontation with Skystar. Riverstar attacks first on the SkyClan cats trespassing, using the river to his advantage, but not allowing cats like Redclaw of SkyClan to drown for this win. It's a relatively easy victory, and a satisfying one. It made me so happy to hear that Riverstar thinks about Night in the book's final moments, about how the two of them raised RiverClan together as though it were their kit. I just adore their friendship, and it feels like a real rarity in warrior cats. These two started this clan together, and they will protect it for the rest of their lives. Thanks for watching. I really enjoyed this book. I'll admit some of it felt a bit recappy, and I'm quite sad there was no manga at the end, as there usually is. Though when I went to record this, I heard that the manga artist, James L. Barry, has retired from making Warriors manga, which is really quite devastating. But I'm excited to hear he's working on his own projects now. But anyways, that might explain why there isn't one here. I do hope this isn't the start of a trend. I hope they find another artist who can do the comics at the end of these super editions. They've always felt really special and a great way to end these books. Anyways, for a manga, I would have liked to see Finch getting her warrior name, or Night become Night Star, or Riverstar's kits all grown up, or something. But I really enjoyed learning so much more about this era of RiverClan, and from such a unique cat's perspective. And yes, I'm a little salty that overwhelmingly gay headcanoned Riverstar was not given one but two she-cat mates, who were never mentioned before this book, though I do like Finch. That does sting, but this is Warriors, so unfortunately, not unexpected. At least we can still have our bi headcanons or the like for him. Cause I mean, come on, there was no heterosexual explanation for Riverstar and Grey Wing's relationship, and the connection they seem to have, with Riverstar able to sense Grey Wing's pain in such a way as described in this book. Oh, that said, it was a significantly better reading experience than the last Super Edition, One Star's Confession, so I will take it. If you've given this book a read, let me know your thoughts on it, and I'll see you next Thursday.